Here is a look, though, at the largest wins that we've seen. We'll talk more about PSG, but was this embarrassing for Inter today, Grella, to be at the top of this graphic?
Yeah, I mean, certainly for sure, for a team that deserves much more, that a team that plays good football, that we always talk about. Obviously, team I think we're proud that when they win things and when they play well to talk about. But you have to call a spade at the end of the day. It was an embarrassment, right? It was a team that probably didn't belong in the final, right? I think the neutral fan got a little bit robbed. Probably should be watching Yamal, Rafinha, Lewandowski in the final right now, Barcelona, PSG. I think we saw today what the top team in Europe looks like and what a pretty good team in Europe looks like in Inter. And the 5-0 is what we saw. So it is an embarrassment. It's a historic embarrassment. The result, the fact that you were favorite to win the Scudetto 4 years, you win one. The fact that you get this deep, and we talk about the treble, and you go with no trophies. It's tough. It's a tough pill to swallow. Is it fair to say Inzaghi's no good, the group's no good, the team's no good? No, absolutely not. Because with the budget that they deal with and the players that they are and what they've put together, it's a really impressive project. But it stings. It's tough. I mean, if you go watch your kid play on the weekend and they lose 5-0 and don't get a sniff at it, right? You feel something. You're like, oh, you get sick. You want to kick someone. You want to do something. 5-0 in the Champions League final, and you're one of the top teams in Europe. It's a sick feeling. I'm sure Inter fans feel sick.
I think the thing is as well, the build-up to the Champions League final, Tony, is so much, isn't it? Every storyline is so well read into. Obviously, Inzaghi, there's a lot of rumours about where does he go after this Champions League final? Is this going to be the last hurrah? They put all their eggs in this basket. It was the young against the old, the veteran side. So for this to be the result, not only the loss, I think adds to that, especially when they've got one of the few teams with the shortest turnaround now with the Club World Cup just, what, weeks away?
Yeah, I want to stick on the Inzaghi for a minute here. And who knows what's going to happen. I just wonder from a tactical standpoint, if he had to do this all over again, how he would approach the game from the start. Now, I always look at these games and say, well, if we played this game 10 times, you know, oftentimes you go, oh, maybe one team would win 2 times, you know, the other team a little bit. I look at today, and there were like 2 different classes of teams. So I wonder, again, from Inzaghi's standpoint, how he would approach the game tactically, because sitting back and just allowing PSG to get a rhythm and go and find the rhythm and then find spaces clearly was not the way to go.
But were you expecting anything different from Inzaghi? Because haven't we sat here even in Serie A and said he doesn't make early changes, he doesn't change the team, he kind of lets things be and sticks with his core group?
I did expect something different, especially after the first 15 minutes of game. After we sat here and talked about it, right, in our watch-along, we said they're far too deep. I think Grella went up to the board and pointed out Lautaro Martinez was 5 yards outside the box defending. And at that point, it's almost impossible. You're just inviting all of this. Clearly, they needed to be better on the ball. They didn't have anything in the attack. We were talking in the break. Barella, Çalhanoğlu, and Mkhitaryan, I don't know if they touched the ball the whole game, right? So, again, I look at it from a tactical standpoint. Could you maybe have done something different? I don't know. The score may have been the same in the end, but certainly the approach they took was not the approach that was going to work today.
Yeah, you should have took a Inter shirt and threw it on Due instead. That was maybe the only chance.
Hey, Geoff, do you think that Inzaghi got the game wrong tonight?
Do you know, Grella, I'm not sure what he could have done, because they set themselves out as normal. There was nothing different about their tactics. And the fact that they stemmed the Barcelona tide over 2 legs probably felt, OK, we can cope with PSG. And don't forget, you know, I know we said they grew into the competition, but they were down and out, 2-0 down to Manchester City. They weren't making it. And they've lost games, whereas Inter have only lost 1 game in this competition this season before tonight. So I don't know. I think it was a combination of things, like I said earlier. I think the disappointment at the end of the season, I think it just drained them. Whereas PSG, they had their title wrapped up, what, a month ago? So they could afford to relax and focus on this.
Bitter as well for a season that was so close, but that wasn't for the quadruple. They lost to Napoli in Serie A by just 1 point. They were out of the Coppa Italia. They lost in the Supercoppa final as well to Milan. And today they come out on the wrong side of the Champions League final. Here is Denzel Dumfries speaking following the match.
So the result, more or less, you think reflects what happened on the pitch?
Yeah, I think from the start we didn't deserve. We were not capable of playing our own game. So yeah, they deserved it, and congratulations to them. I feel sorry for everyone, every fan, every everyone was involved with Inter. But we fought, but it was not enough to do.
It's a difficult pill, isn't it, for Inter to swallow, coming so close, at least into the match. Here's a look at their campaign this season, though. 4th place in the league phase. They kept a clean sheet in 7 of the 8 matches. They just conceded the 1 goal during that time as well. Had a club record of 10 wins. They eliminated Feyenoord, Bayern Munich, and then, of course, in one of the most epic Champions League ties against Barcelona. I feel like it's difficult to really weigh up into season, isn't it, Jimmy, especially in this moment? Can you call it a success?
You can, because you're competing in every single competition, so there's something to be said for that. I think what's most disappointing when I think about this game in particular is that they didn't play the way that they're known for playing. They didn't come out and weren't true to themselves. That's got to be the one that hurts the most. Yeah, the scoreline's a scoreline, and that's going to stick with them forever. But the fact that you weren't fighting. There was no tackles. I didn't see any crazy I mean, even if we had been down, I can't maybe speak for these two, but if I had been down 3-0 and the game was getting out of it, dude, I'd be throwing 2-foot tackles all over the place. I mean, I would be trying to do something to put my impression in the game, even though at that point I had been frustrated that we hadn't started that way. At any point, I mean, usually if you have to win a game, you need as many of your players being 7 or 8 out of 10 to make that happen. Right? 7 or 8 of your players have to be 7 or 8 out of 10. I don't know if we can say any Inter players were even a 5 out of 10. And that needs to be, that the coach needs to reflect upon that, of course. But then the players are still the ones that have to go out there and execute. And they've been together for so long. That's why everybody tipped them to potentially win, because they had that experience. They had been there before. They'd been to a Champions League final before. So if anything that I would probably regret if I was one of the players is just that we didn't perform. We didn't actually come out. It's one thing to lose and you gave your best and it just wasn't your day. Today it wasn't their day and they didn't play well, and it's going to hurt twice as much.
Would you say it's a success, Grella, this season?
I think you don't lift any trophies, no, you can't be a success. If you look at the Coppa Italia, it's a little bit random. Supercoppa Italiana, okay, whatever, you know. Scudetto was a failure, for sure. They were the best team in Italy, the way that they play football. They have 2 teams, basically. If they put their A team to play in the Scudetto race, right, and only played in the Scudetto, they would win the Scudetto. If they put their B team, they'd probably finish top 4.
Can you say they should have won the Scudetto? It's 38 matches, normally over that big of a sample size.
They played almost double the amount of games of Napoli, right? And there's a little bit of the conversation you can also have with PSG. They play in a league that's less competitive. They play in the French Cup that's less competitive. So they get to these moments a little bit fresher, for sure. I think the team looked tired, like I've been saying for a long time. I think the team they lost a little bit of bite. When we watched them win the Scudetto last season, they were nastier. They finished games off, defensively better as well. They looked tired. They looked a little bit out of ideas. I think for an Italian team as well, and for very proud Inter fans, you can't lose the game 5-0 for sure. And not to take anything away from PSG, I thought they were fantastic on the night, but they didn't make you go like, wow, this team is so much better than Inter. Inter, in a lot of ways, beat themselves. They didn't get close to anyone. Slow, lethargic. I mean, we showed it a couple times on the big screen if you were following along before, not getting close enough in big moments, letting guys turn. Like, PSG players will come off tonight and say, oof, we played that game with the cigar in our mouth. 19-year-olds coming off the bench and scoring at will. I mean, it was an embarrassment of a performance for Inter.
Something we hadn't really discussed during the game and even prior to it is that Inter have only been down 16 minutes leading into the final. Throughout the whole campaign in the Champions League, only losing for 16 minutes. By halftime, they were down 2-0, and it almost felt like, wow, we haven't really been here before. Yeah, they had done it domestically and had tried to work through that. But in the Champions League, they just never really had suffered in that way, and it didn't feel like they had any answers, Tone.
No, and I think we talked about it, right? The press from PSG was incredible today. Suffocated them throughout the match. But to Poppy's point, for me, not a success, right? Because when you look at this Inter side, we started the season talking about multiple different things that they could win. We showed the 4 opportunities that they had, and they lost. If you would have told me at the beginning of the year that Inter's not going to put a trophy in the cabinet, I would have thought you were crazy, right? We probably all would have picked Inter for putting something in the cabinet. Coppa Italia, Supercoppa, whatever it was, and they didn't get anything. And I think a club that's set up like this, that's mission number 1. I don't think they would call it a success if they don't put any trophies in the cabinet.
Where do you think it leaves Inzaghi then? Because obviously we've seen kind of the madness of Serie A and all of these coaching changes that are happening already. Grell, there's rumours that Inzaghi might be leaving to Saudi Arabia. It feels like a bitter note if that is the case for him to kind of leave Inter in this moment. Do you think that this game defined his future in any way?
No, I don't think so. I don't think the games and the no trophies defined what they were trying to do. For me, it's a matter of what personally Inzaghi wants to do. I would imagine that the club would want him back and continue to build this project and reinvest and get younger and better pieces. I mean, at the end of the day, what Inter did was phenomenal, right? With the group that they have. They don't have players like Due and Dembele and Barcola to bring off the bench, 1v1 firecracker guys who can create something out of nothing. They don't have Kvaratskhelia in their team. I mean, they're relying on Dumfries and Di Marco a lot of these times. And with all due respect to them, we're talking about a different caliber of players. So what Inzaghi's done has been phenomenal, and our expectations are through the roof because of it. But I would imagine if he wants to stay, they would highly welcome him to stay, unless he wants to have another project on his mind. That's down to him.